Hey everybody, welcome to the Flex Offense with Mike Ellerbrook. This is the first in-studio pod we will do. You've seen the other two pods that are up on the website with Patrick Benton and Dwayne Hutton, but we have a special surprise for you this time. Somebody that's really near and dear to my heart. We're going to dig into my history a little bit. Last two pods, we went into Patrick's history, into Dwayne's history, but with me today, and there'll be a trivia question later, all right? The trivia question will be, years from now when this pod is super famous, who was the first in-studio guest on the Flex Offense with Mike Ellerbrook? And the answer will be the person sitting next to me, Mr. John Luszcz. John, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me, Mike. Thank you.
So, John and I go way back. John has been at this company for over 40 years. A true testament to himself and the commitment he made to the company back starting in 1984. He's been through a lot, he's done a lot, and he's made a lot of impact on people's lives at this company. So, John, why don't you give us a little timeline of when you started UFP and why you came to UFP?
Okay. I started in February 22nd, 1984.
Wow. 1984. I'll bet you a lot of our watchers, a lot of these people that are watching the show right now, weren't alive in 1984.
Exactly. And my official retirement date was January of 26, which actually comes out to be like 40 years and 10 months.
Gotcha. Okay.
So currently I'm working part-time. So
we're getting very detailed early on. I like this. Go ahead. Yes. Okay.
So I'm working part-time right now.
Yes, you are.
I'm in my second year of part-time.
You are. Yes.
So, yeah. So that was great.
So, okay. So 84, where did you start? What plant?
We started at Belchertown.
Okay.
So Belchertown, the plant was being built, actually.
Belchertown, Massachusetts, for all you watchers out there.
It was Plant 221. It was actually being built. I mean, there was concrete being poured.
Wow.
They were putting up walls. So I seen it. Your original question was, why did I go there?
Yes, there you go.
Well, I was married. I was in my early 20s, and my son was born.
Okay. A reason.
So,
you had a reason.
I had a reason.
You needed money.
So I needed money because I had no insurance.
Good.
I had no benefits, no nothing. So it's kind of funny. I thought about it. I think the bill was like, at the time, was like $2,000 or $1,800 total.
For your son,
my son
Johnny,
to be born.
Your son Johnny to be born, right?
Wow. Which I'm sure now is probably like $30,000 or $40,000.
Oh,
I don't know.
Probably more. But go ahead.
But that's what happened. So he was born. We had to pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
In my hometown of Belchertown, where I was living, I looked at the local newspaper, and they were building the plant down there, and they had an ad in there for Universal for jobs.
Yeah.
So my wife says, "Hey, why don't you try it?" He goes, "All right, we need insurance, we need benefits." I went down. I wish I knew who was there. It may have been Nancy or somebody. Or,
okay.
I don't know, but it was 84, whoever it was, but they gave me a job.
So 1984, you drive down Bay Road in Belchertown, Massachusetts. You pull in and you just knock on the door. This was a random, hey, I saw an ad, I came in. You didn't know anybody there.
No, they had it at the town hall.
Oh, they had it at the town hall? Okay, but you didn't know anybody at the company.
No.
So you came in kind of a cold call to come to UFP, and you started as what? What was your first kind of role there? Do you remember?
Well, basically, there was no building, there was no manufacturing, there was no machinery, nothing.
Oh, wow.
We're stacking lumber.
Okay.
I was hired as a person just to stack lumber.
Okay.
Which they had a rail spur there.
Yeah.
So they were bringing cars in right away.
Okay, gotcha.
Carload after carload. So there was like, I think 8 or 10 guys, and all we did was stack lumber because the cars would come in, they would stack the lumber on the mud.
Yeah.
And the next day, the piles would fall over. So they said, go on over and stack it up.
John, are you so old that we didn't even have forklifts when you started?
They did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
The forklifts would drop them too.
Oh, okay.
So,
Got you. So you were building, and what that is, it was a treating facility, right? That's what they built. They built a pressure treated facility, and you started in 1984. And at what point did you get into like management or that type of stuff?
So I started off stacking lumber. Then they offered me a forklift job.
Yes.
Took a forklift job.
Okay.
And then once the treating plant got running, they says, "Hey, you want to be a treater?" So I became a treater.
Okay.
And then as I was doing that, then they asked us, "Hey, you want to get into management and be a assistant production manager?"
Yeah.
So that was like my first management.
And that was probably, what are you thinking? Late 80s, early 90s, somewhere
That
in
was
there?
probably like 2 years later.
Oh, wow.
Probably
You're
2
moving
years
up
later.
quick, John.
Yeah.
You're moving up
But
quick.
I never asked for, that was one of my issues. I never asked for a promotion.
Oh.
I always waited for it to be given to me.
Okay, that's all right.
So
Well,
it's kind of the way you did it in the old days.
Well, you work to earn it, right?
Right.
You work to earn it, which
Yep.
you're right, is a little different in the old days, but
Yep.
that's a great story. That's an awesome story. So, as we get into the 90s, you stayed at UFP and obviously in Belchertown, and we were treating wood. And what else? Were we doing anything else at that plant at the time?
Yeah,
Did
we had a
bring in some-
mobile modular factory there.
Okay, trusses?
Trusses,
Okay,
yeah. We were
yep.
building small 16-foot trusses.
Yep.
Cottage trusses, scissor trusses.
Okay, cool.
Most of them were going to like Maine and Vermont. So yeah, we had a big operation there for
Okay.
that. So we did a lot of trusses. And then we got into like a lot of DIY products.
Yep. DIY, we call it DIY.
DIY.
There you go. We'll switch the letters. That's all right.
Fencing,
Yeah.
deck posts,
Yes.
Gothic posts.
I remember.
We built it all, so we did a lot of deck necessities.
Didn't you have a mortise machine there too at one point?
Yeah, we did. We made our own, mortise
Yeah,
machine.
yeah,
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 we
yeah.
also made our own baluster.
Okay.
We had
So a lot of different stuff.
molder. We had rip saws. We had a lot of equipment there.
That's
yeah.
like the old school. That's the blueprint of
Yep.
UFP, right?
Yep.
Treated, manufactured housing, lumber, reman type of stuff. So you were part of the blueprint of UFP.
Yep.
And then one bright day in the summer of 1997, someone came knocking at
Yep.
your door. Someone actually didn't come knocking.
Yeah.
Someone showed up at your door. Who was that?
You.
So yes, I started in 1997 as a summer intern in Belchertown, and I had a family friend. I don't know if some of you probably heard this on other pods I've been on, but the family friend connected me with a guy named Chris Joseph, who John worked for in Belchertown.
He was the plant manager.
He was the plant manager for a while, and Chris had been elevated. He was elevated into a regional role.
Yeah.
And my father was friendly with Chris and called Chris and said, "Hey, I've got my son. I want to put him to work. Do you have anything for him there?" And Chris said, "Yeah, have him show up as soon as he gets back from college." And I showed up, and Suzanne Velez was in the office, who's still here today, right?
Yeah.
Right down the street, right down the hallway here.
Yeah.
And Suzanne said, "You need to go see John." And this is a story that lives in infamy because I came down to the plant. First off, there was no one leading me. I just kind of found my way down
Yep,
to the plant,
yep.
right? And I walked in, and John was there, and I thought, hey, they must be expecting me because my dad called, so I thought I got them all set, right? So I said, "Hey, I'm Mike Ellerbrook," and John said, "Who?" And I'm like, "Oh, no." So John said, "What are you here for?" I said, "Chris Joseph sent me for a job, whatever." And my first job, what was my first job? What job did you give me?
Sweeping the floor.
Sweeping the floor. He handed me a broom. John handed me a broom and said, "Hey, you want to make a name here? You want to stay here? This is what you're going to do." So I swept the floor. It wasn't a big plant, 30, 40,000 square feet.
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours later, I come back. I'm like, "John, I'm done sweeping the floor." And John says, "There's more dust on the floor. Just keep going." So that was my first interaction with John Luszcz, and a guy that for the next 27 or 28 years has been someone I've leaned on heavily over those times. So we'll get into a lot more of that, right? So let's continue down your path, John, because I just want to throw in there.
Yeah.
That's how you and I came together. But
Yeah.
in about 98, 99, what happened at Belchertown?
So we started doing residential trusses, and that changed. We got rid of all the mobile modular. So
Yes.
that was a big deal. We were doing quite well there. And I think at that same time, around there, I became production manager, or a little bit before that.
Yep.
That was another promotion.
Yeah.
So then eventually I became plant manager
Yes.
after Chris got promoted.
That's right. Okay, so
So-
that was late or mid 2000s probably
Yeah.
became plant manager. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and I had segued myself. I had graduated from college and come back to UFP for full time to work full time.
Yeah.
Started in Ranson, and then in 2002 probably was transferred back up and became a salesperson, a sales trainee in Belchertown. And John was the plant manager, and we started working side by side.
We worked a lot together in sales.
We did.
That too. Yeah, that was a good time. Yeah.
We did, and we continued to grow the plant. one truss table early on, right?
Yep.
And then probably 05, 06, we put an addition on that Belchertown plant, maybe 07, something like that.
Yep.
2 100-foot, 280-foot, or 120-foot tables, whatever they were.
Yep.
Roof tables with an additional floor truss. So 2 floor truss lines, and then 280 or 300 feet of roof truss lines. So that's when we started working together. I eventually moved into a GMO role, and my whole life had been in sales, right? I had been a salesman my whole life, and that's all I knew. And when I got the opportunity to become GMO of Belchertown, the first guy I sought out, obviously, was John. And John has skills that I didn't have, and I knew that, and I needed to learn. I had the selling thing, I figured that out, but I'm like, okay, I got to get on the plant floor. And the first thing I did was I got next to John, and I watched John work. And if you've never been around somebody that understands people and understands how to manage people and how to get people to the next level, you need to spend time with John Luszcz. He does it the old-fashioned way, right? There's no glitz and glam. It's on the floor. I mean, is that your management style?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always tried to be. I was taught to be fair, honest, and consistent.
I like it,
and I try to live by that. All my career, and it seemed to work for me. So
yeah,
I think the employees always respected me.
I think that's a big thing, John. I think you're selling yourself short on the respect thing. I think you've earned the respect of people on that plant floor through not being afraid to do it yourself, right? But you are not afraid to walk out there and do that job, and they know that, so they respect you. But you've built that, and I saw that early on, and I said, all right, I've got to learn this from John. And you can read books, you can search the internet, you can do all those things to try to educate yourself. But sometimes the best way is finding a person that's good at what you're not good at and getting right next to them. And that's what I did early on, and I was super thankful for that. And we had some really fun times, right? Like really, really fun stuff in Belchertown as we were growing the business. Whether it be on the sales side, operations side, outside of work, inside of work. Yeah. And the next topic I want to get to is something that lives in the world of the Northeast, and it's called a Luszcism. Okay, don't ask me how to spell it. Spelling his last name is a challenge in itself. L-U-S-C-Z. What?
L-U-S-Z-C-Z.
So yes, and it's pronounced Luszcz. Okay, for all of you out there that don't know him yet, but there's a thing called a Luszcism that we're going to talk about right now, and we're going to talk about where it emanated from and how it started, right? And a Luszcism is a saying that is maybe a little off or really doesn't make sense to anybody but John. So I'm going to tell the story, all right? You remember how the first one came about?
Not sure. There's quite a few of them.
I know. Yes, you're right. There is quite a few. This pod could go on for an hour about Luszcism.
Just so you know, I know you're wondering how I think of them. I don't think of them.
That's awesome.
They just come out.
That's great. That's the best part of it.
They just come out the wrong way for some reason.
and sometimes it's what's needed in that situation to give everyone pause and go, what did he just say?
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It makes it all work. But I'm going to tell the story of the first one, okay? I'm not going to use any names, but you and I we're gonna discipline somebody, right? And we may have been firing them. I don't know what we're doing. We're doing something, but we were talking about it in my office. I remember where we were in that corner. You were on the right hand side. I was on the left hand side. We were talking about it, and I said, John, we're gonna say all this, and then at the end, if he gets loud or doesn't want to go with it, what are you going to say? What are you going to say? What are we going to say? And you look at me and you go, Mike, I'm just going to say what it is. And I just stopped and I froze and I was like, well, you're going to say what? What it is. Don't you mean it is what it is? Yeah. And John was like, yeah, we'll just say that. Yeah. So that was the first Luszcism that popped out. Yeah. And there's been other ones. Yeah. And then came, that'll throw a monkey at the wrench, right?
That was a great
Instead
one.
of throwing a monkey wrench in it, right?
Yeah.
And then there was, that's water under the fridge instead of the bridge. Is there any others that you remember?
I used to say he has a mind of a hawk.
Mind of a hawk. Any idea what that means? No, but it makes you think, right? Yeah. And that's why it's called the Luszcism.
Yeah.
Is there any other ones that we can say that are okay?
Probably not.
Not okay for the show?
Not for the show.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to let everyone know what a Luszcism is and why you are a one of a kind, a one of a one. Is John Luszcz is a one of one. You won't find another guy like this, and you definitely won't find Luszcisms out there like he uses them. Yeah. So let's go back to the business. Let's go back to UFP and some of the changes that you went through recently here, right prior to your retirement. We made a decision as a company to split Belchertown, right? And part of the business left and came over here to Chicopee, correct?
Yep.
When was you were part of that?
Yeah, I mean, that was actually difficult. It was a difficult thing to do because I felt so attached to Belchertown of all the things we did there.
True.
Just we had the best office in the company. We had the pond, and it was beautiful, and just everything we did there, it seemed like, all right, now I'm going to leave. Yeah. All for nothing.
Yeah. No, it was 36 years you were there, right?
37.
37. Okay, go ahead.
But, I understand, you got to move forward, build a better business here. So
yes, I
got it. But it was a hard thing for me. And one day I actually drove back there when I was driving to work by mistake.
What do they say? Old habits die hard?
Right.
Old habits die hard.
Right.
And 37 years of going to the same spot. And now you gotta recalibrate. Well, you don't use your GPS, do you?
No.
No, okay. So you got to recalibrate your brain to drive somewhere different. But we made that decision to help us grow, right? Because everyone was over there and everyone was kind of on top of each other. And in order for the business to grow, sometimes you got to make those tough decisions. And we, the site built business, the site built part of the business left and came over here to Chicopee. And was that an exciting process for you to be part of like building this whole Chicopee? That's where we are, by the way. We're in Chicopee.
That was one of the best things I actually liked doing here was building this building. Yeah. When we came in, it was completely empty and we fixed it up. We tore the bad things out of it and repainted everything and started bringing in the machinery. Yeah. And then when I got to see what this place was going to be like for the employees, a nice, clean, atmosphere to work in. I mean, that was like a home run.
It's pretty cool, huh?
That was cool.
Yeah. So it's really neat, John, that you really left your stamp in two places, like a massive stamp. If you look back and you could say, hey, I helped build the Belchertown plant. You were there from day one. Yep. Pretty impressive. That's very impressive legacy there. And then you come over here and you can say, hey, I helped build this plant too at the end of my career. And I left this plant as a place where employees really like to be, right? Yep. So, John, let's talk a little bit more about this Chicopee plant. Because what we build here is much different than what goes on over in Belchertown, right? When you started and still what's in Belchertown with the pressure treating and they have decking there now and stuff like that. But what we build here is a manufactured product, and we really made a commitment to automation and robotics here when we started up this plant 3 or 4 years ago. And this has grown to become one of the leading automation plants in the entire company, right? I would put Conway, South Carolina in that conversation, at least for site built. I'm sure there's some others on the packaging side and maybe a little bit on the retail side, but Chicopee has become a leader. And I wanted to get some thoughts from you on how was it? This is all new. This was new to us, and it was definitely new to you. And you were used to the old school way of kind of managing the equipment we always had in the plant. How was it for you to get used to this new stuff?
Yeah, I think it was hard in the beginning. I think it was hard for a lot of the employees because the employees thought they were going to lose their jobs. Yeah. When in reality is the way I see it now is we got rid of the lousy jobs. Yes. And we made better jobs for the employees.
Very good point. Very good point.
It's so much better. In like Lewis running the in-feed line. Yes. He has got that dialed in. Yeah. He loves his job now. Good. And he's doing fantastic. And before they're all like nervous about it. Yeah. So it really worked. It creates better jobs. But yes, I was, in the beginning, I was like, oh, wow. In the old days, we would like, hey, run the machine, run 1,000 pieces as fast as you can, run another 1,000 pieces as fast as you can.
It was work harder, not smarter back then, right? Now what is it? Work smarter, not harder, right?
So it's definitely a benefit. And like I said, it eliminated those bad jobs where
Yes.
we had turnover rates and everything else, and now we have really good paying jobs that people want to do the job.
Good. I agree with that, and you know, John, it's you fought these battles the last 3 or 4 years of just trying to get good people in here.
Yeah.
It's harder and harder to find good employees these days because there's so many options for them, right? I always look down at my cell phone. We have these type of conversations. Say, you know, back in when John started in 1984, obviously we were a long way from any sort of cell phone. Now, you can make a lot of money just sitting at home on your cell phone. So we compete with that, right? So we're trying to find people and bring them into a manufacturing environment and some of this work is hard. We've made it easier with automation robotics, but some of it's very hard. And we compete with the phone and we compete with other things, other technology that you can stay home. You don't have to come to work. So I think it was very important what you just said is we're trying to get rid of those really, really bad jobs and make the hard ones just easier for someone to do on a daily basis, right?
Yep.
So did you ever have any doubt, like throughout this process when we started designing these robotic cells? Did you ever have any doubt in your mind that it was going to work?
I did a little bit, and then, you know, obviously these machines are all custom made for us, so there's going to be hiccups.
Yeah.
So there was in the beginning, you know, there's a little bit of downtime, a little bit of, you know, troubleshooting, and it was a little tough, but no, once we got going, I mean, it really went well.
Yeah.
It's going very well right now.
Good. And
Very
I think what you said is key too, that there's an idea in people's head that these machines are going to replace me. They're not going to need me.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm out or whatever. And I think what we found after we started getting into this is we got to be out in front of it, right? You went to them early on and said, this is what's coming, this is what we're doing. So there was an understanding and there was a calmness.
Yes.
And people weren't frantic of, hey, is this going to be my last day? The robot's here or whatever it is, right? So I think we all learned that, didn't we? To get out in front of it.
In the beginning, absolutely, everybody thought they were going to lose jobs. We were going to lose positions.
Yeah, crazy.
And now there's no talk of that at all. They love the robots. Good. They love what we have in there, and it's just awesome.
Well, that starts from the top down. I mean, that starts from you on that plant floor, buying in and giving them that sense of calmness that, hey, we're doing this for the right reasons, right? We're doing this to make your job better, to make a better position for you where you can work. You know, those guys that used to load the tram, I mean, or load the infeed deck. Yeah, it's a hard job. That's a life.
Another thing too is you save on injuries.
You got it,
because these guys aren't hurting their backs. They're not getting slivers.
Yeah,
you know, all kinds of different things.
So there's a saying about not being able to teach old dogs new tricks, and I think John's proven that false, right? So he's gone and he's now a believer in automation robotics, and he's the leader and the driver of it in his, you know, as at the end of his career here, and now that he's working part-time. So I want to turn to just your career in general and you looking back on your career and the legacy that you've left here at both places, right?
Yeah.
And if we can pull a little bit of advice out of your head, and Luszcism may come out. This may be the spot. Everyone pay attention. You may get a Luszcism, but can you just kind of, for younger employees, whether they're here now or ones that are coming in new, just some words of advice for them here at UFP?
Yeah. Well, one thing I thought about when we were going to do this is, you know, learn from your mentors. And I had some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't mind, I'll mention a couple of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like all the Don Harris.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you remember I don't
AKA, what was his nickname? Shooter. There you go. Yeah.
Don Harris.
Some of the crowd remember that name.
He's the one that actually built, you know, he was the guy involved with building it and everything, right? And then Tommy Staskell.
Yes.
I worked for him.
Yeah.
And then, so, you know, Tommy was a great mentor.
Gordon, Pennsylvania, the legend of Gordon, Pennsylvania.
They had a philosophy, you know, work hard, play harder.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yes, you're right, John.
So that was the old days.
Yes.
You know? So, and then the one that's dear to your heart was Chris Joseph.
Yeah.
You know.
True.
That was like, he was the plant manager. I was the production manager, and Chris was just fantastic.
Yeah.
A story about him was at the time we were working together. I got divorced.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it, and you know it was traumatic.
Oh yeah.
For me,
anything.
You know,
oh yeah, it's change, big change.
Had 3 kids, and Chris was there for me.
Yeah.
I mean, he really was.
Good.
I mean, he like got me through it.
Good.
It really did. He really helped me out.
He was a phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
They say, and we'll give a little tribute to Chris here. You know that there's that Maya Angelou saying of it's not It's not what you say and it's not what you do, but it's how you make people feel. And I think that was really true. To Chris Joseph.
He was the probably, and then the next one's going to be you, of course. But
I didn't tell him to say that. I didn't tell him to say that.
But Chris was the type of guy you wanted to work for him.
Yeah.
I would do anything for him. I would jump through hoops for him, anything. He was just generous, great personality. I mean, I can't say enough about him. I mean, he did a lot for me.
Well, I feel enough confidence to say there's a lot of people in that plant that would say the same thing about you. In Belchertown and here.
Yeah.
That they say they would want to work for John Luszcz. That they say they'd want to go to war with John Luszcz. They said they'd stand behind John Luszcz no matter what happened. So that's a legacy and a tribute to you. And
then, of course, the last one is you. You always tell everybody a lot of stories on how you learn from me, but, it's vice versa. I learned a lot from you, from as you developed and became a general manager and to where you are now. Like, I learned a lot from you, from being an old guy to learning new things. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you, and it's been 27 years of education for me to get to where I am in life and where I am at this company, and a lot of that education has come from you. And whether you know it or not, I was watching, I was learning, I was watching and listening and learning and doing and trying to replicate what you brought to the plant floor.
Well, I remember times where you used to call me in your office and say, get a minute, can I talk to you? Like, about a problem with an employee or, how you going to handle it. So,
yeah,
I remember we did that a lot.
Yeah, no, this is a people business.
Yeah.
I don't care what we're making. We're making trusses, we're making decorators, decking, we're making whatever. It's about people. And I think you taught me that. I think you showed me that people need to be put first and people are important. If you aren't good to them, you won't have them.
Yeah. They got to respect you.
Yeah.
If you lie or somehow deceive them, and they have to respect you. Otherwise, forget it. You're done.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question on you. What can't you do here? What are the no-nos in the UFP?
Well, I think the first thing I learned, like I said, is to be honest, true, and just make sure you never lie to your employees,
Yes.
So
or, your boss, or your boss.
Or your boss.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
Yeah.
And just, obviously be on time every day.
Huge, John.
Be on the floor. Don't be afraid to do the jobs that the employees are doing.
Yes.
If you got to clean the bathroom because the janitor's not here, clean the bathroom.
There's a saying now, John, about the on-time thing. Early is on time is late. That's
right.
How I live. That's how you live, right?
Yep.
And if you're late, you're stealing someone else's time.
Yeah.
Because someone else is waiting on you to either get to work on time or for an appointment or whatever. So don't be late. I think punctuality is huge. I'm glad you brought that up. And it's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's easy.
Coming in on a Saturday, just that shows a big thing. We force the employees to work Saturday. Well, you can show up once in a while, and they say, he's here too,
The respect, right?
It's respect, yeah.
So you are now semi-retired, right? We did the whole retirement party, and we thought John was going off to ride into the sunset. So we have this big retirement party, and then we find out John's coming back. So he's here part-time for a couple of days, like you said before. What are you doing in your newfound free time?
Well, first thing, retirement was one of the hardest things I ever did.
Okay. You weren't even retired.
No, but when you guys are kept, like Kevin kind of like say, hey, when are you going to retire? Get somebody new in.
The decision process.
Okay,
we
right?
got you. All right, yeah.
But just the whole process it's just hard to do after that long. It's really hard to do. But anyway, so right now, yes, I'm working 2 days a week, which I love for now. My wife and I bought a house 2 years ago when I retired, which is kind of crazy because usually when you retire, you downsize. We upsize. So we bought a big house, needed to get fixed, a lot of repairs to it, with a lot of land.
You got projects,
which I like doing, and basically we got them all done now.
Yes.
Projects are all done. Got
28. No, your beautiful wife, Michelle, probably has a list somewhere in the closet of future projects, right?
Yeah.
That house is never going to be done. You know that.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Well, she doesn't get any more fancy purses anymore. That's for sure.
True. We take those out.
Those are out.
You're only part time. You're not full time.
But no, so I enjoy working around the yard, but I love golfing, of course.
Yes.
You know, going with you once in a while. I like fishing.
Good.
I used to hunt a lot. I might get back into hunting.
Okay, great.
I got 3 kids, 3 children. I got 7 grandkids.
7, that's right.
So I do go to a lot of hockey games. Now
Good.
we go to a lot of baseball games.
Stay busy.
I stay busy, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. John is someone that's very special to me. Obviously, you heard a lot of our history. I would not be here if it wasn't for John. There's a small group of people in my life that have gotten me to where I am. Well, there's a large group, but there's a small inner circle that I attribute to or attribute with where I am today, and he's in that circle. You know, my father, my parents, Chris Joseph, John Luszcz, Patrick Benton. It's a very small circle that I keep close to me, and he's one of them. So I told you he'd be the answer to the trivia question, but I want to end it by saying this is the 3rd podcast we've done. Patrick and Dwayne, I think you see a theme here of what success is, and there's so many ways to measure success, and I choose to measure success by the impact you have on other people, by the legacy you create after you. You know, the sales numbers, the awards, all that comes and goes, and there's always going to be someone after you that's going to beat your number or win more trophies than you or whatever it is. But the impact you make on the lives of others, whether it's here or outside, is really what measures success in my life or in my mind. And John, you've had an amazing impact on a number of lives here at UFP and outside of UFP. But so many people have walked through that door, whether it's at Belchtown or here, and worked with you or for you and left as a much better person. And I think that's a massive measurement of success for you.
Thank you.
And a huge legacy that you leave behind. So
yeah, thank you.
I appreciate you coming on the pod.
Yeah.
This is great. We get to talk to people of all backgrounds that have been successful in so many ways. And John is a great story within the walls of UFP. So congratulations, John. I look forward to getting out and playing some golf with you and heading over to the house and seeing the next list of projects from Michelle. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the next pod, the Flex Offense pod here in the future. Thank you.